Once we have logged in with a Microsoft account and we have installed Visual Studio, let's proceed to create a project to see how the initial project looks like with .NET Maui. Let's click on Create New Project, and we have here a set of different templates that we could use for different types of developments. In our case, we are interested in developing for different devices, that is, we want to use the .NET Maui platform. We can filter in the part that says All Project Types. We have here an option called Precisely Maui, which will show us the different templates available for programming with this platform. Let's select .NET Maui App Preview to see how this template looks like. We'll click on Next, and as part of the project name, we can leave this name by default, since we are only going to examine how the project looks like, and we click on the option that says Create. Once the project has been created, we see that in the lower left part we see this message that says that the NuGet packages are being restored. Therefore, we're going to give it a few seconds while it finishes its restoration. After waiting a few seconds, we see that the restoration has been completed, and we get this message or this window that tells us that we must accept the license for the use of the Android SDK. Let's indicate that we want to accept this license. And if you have not previously installed the Android SDK, it will start the process to start downloading the corresponding SDK so that we can create applications based on this platform. So let's give a few more seconds while this process is finished. Once the task has been completed, we're going to proceed to compile this project to see that everything works correctly. Let's right-click on the Maui App1 project, click on Build, and let's see what happens. After a few seconds, we see that the process has been completed successfully. We can know this because in the lower left part, it tells us that the project is ready. And also in the output window, it tells us that a project has been successfully built. In .NET Maui, we're going to have a single project that is going to host each of the configurations for each of the platforms. See then that we have a single project, and within this project we have some sections or some files that we already previously knew if we had worked with Xamarin. For example, the dependencies part. We have here dependencies for each of the platforms from Android through iOS, Mac Catalyst, and Windows as well. Windows already takes a very relevant role as part of .NET Maui, unlike Universal Windows Platform, which was a platform that was no longer very much considered in the Xamarin world. We also have as part of this project a section called Properties, and notice that previously we did not have a JSON file that appears in this template, which will allow us to carry out different configurations. We also have as part of this project a folder called Platform, which actually houses the content for each of the platforms that we specifically have. Each of these folders contains additional information specific to that platform. For example, this folder called Android contains this well-known folder called Resources. We have the Android manifest.xml file, we have mainactivity.cs, and we have a new class that we haven't seen before in Xamarin called main application. We're going to look at this class later. We have as part of iOS, for example, the app delegate class. We have the info.plist. We also have a class called program, which is also part of this project. We have as part of Mac Catalyst some similar files on the iOS platform, and finally as part of the Windows platform we have some feature files such as app.xaml, the application manifest for the Windows package, and basically these are the different platform specific ones that we can further customize and modify to do what we need them to do. We also have a new section called Resources, and these resources are resources that are going to be common throughout the project. For example, previously we had to add some font either in each of the specific projects or add to the common project and register it in some file. But now with .NET Maui, we can already have a single place where we are going to register each of the elements that we need as part of the application, as is the case of the fonts. So we have a fonts folder, a folder called images, a folder called raw, and we have some SVG files that will allow us to adapt an image to different device sizes. We're going to be looking at those files as we go through the course. We also have some files that you will get to know little by little, such as the app.xaml file. In this file, we could configure some common resources to the whole application, as for example, to define dictionaries of resources to define some type of visual appearance in the elements of the application. We also have a file called app shell, which basically defines a type of visual appearance based on shell, which you are also going to know throughout the course. And as part of the content of this shell, we basically define some features like the title, for example, a content template, which basically defines what is the initial content page for this page. We also define the flyout behavior, that is, what is the behavior of that window that you can drag from the left side to the center of the application. And we also see a path that is specifying how we can access to this page. We also have a page called main page. This page is a content page. Also, if you don't know about this, later we will see it. And as part of this content page, which is the demo content page, we have some graphical elements such as a scroll view, we have a label element, we have a button element, an image element. And as I said before, if you do not know these elements, don't worry, we will see them as we go throughout the course. We also have a class called Maui program, which is basically an initial class that will allow us to carry out some configuration of the application. For example, here looking quickly, we see that we have an option to be able to configure which are the fonts that we would like to use in the application. And just as we are configuring fonts, we could configure other elements that again we are going to see throughout the course. So this is what a .NET Maui application looks like at first glance. And we're going to see then how we can run this application on an emulator in the next video.